Welcome to Portland Tea Party. I'm Ciara Pressler with you live from Central Office in the West End. We're back here at our HQ, and today we are delighted to have a very special guest. I'll let you know who it is after the intro. My promise to you when I started this show is that I would bring you Portland leaders. We would find out what they really do every day and also get to meet them as human beings, Portlanders just like us. And I'm so excited today to bring you our first city leader of the show, Commissioner Carmen Rubio. Thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to be here.
I'm so excited to be here.
Thank you. Yeah. I don't know if you remember, we met, I think the first time at a BPS, Bureau of Planning and Sustainability Clean Industry event like almost a year ago.
I remember.
Yeah, thank you for making that happen.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that project, and you were a really great facilitator. I remember that.
Well, thank you. You were a great speaker.
Thank you.
I'm glad we're on the same page about this.
Yeah.
So let's start with the basics.
Okay.
We're here to help people who are busy and don't have time to study the org chart of the city understand how the city works. So what does a commissioner do? What's your job description, basically?
Okay, so our commission form of government is really different than what other commissioners or city councilors do in other cities across the country. That's why it led to the government change. So right now, what we do is we kind of like have 5 different mayors over our own bureaus. So the mayor gives out the assignments for what bureaus you have, and I have a certain amount, each commissioner has a certain amount, and we're the ultimate authority. So we're both acting as the executive and an administrative lead on the bureaus, and we're legislators. So we do policy for the whole city.
Wow.
So it's kind of challenging, and it's a lot, and it's complex, and sometimes doing the best thing for the bureau might not always mean, what's the best thing for the city. So we have to weigh those things every day.
Yes, I've heard it said that way, that our city org chart is like 5 CEOs with their own kind of businesses, but they all have to work this way too, which sounds really challenging.
Yes, it can be really, really challenging. Sometimes when it works, it really works. When you have to get something and we're all aligned, then things move really fast. Okay. But when things don't align very quickly and we all have very different ideas and the bureaus have different missions, sometimes you need that galvanizing point to pull it all into alignment. And so that's when it can be really hard and things take a long time.
Yeah. So how many bureaus do you oversee?
So I oversee the Housing Bureau, the Bureau of Planning and Sustainability, the Bureau of Development Services, where you get your permitting done.
Oh yes, permitting.
Yes, permitting, and then I am the liaison to Prosper Portland.
Wow, whoa, okay. Those are the big bureaus
They are.
too. So housing, that's what's on everybody's
Huge.
mind. How do you work with housing and help guide their strategy?
So we are just wrapping up the Portland Housing Bond and the Metro Housing Bond, where we spent out millions of dollars to do more affordable housing across Portland. So we're hoping that we will have the next set of funding coming, and we're in discussion with other jurisdictions now to see how we can get more funds to continue that work. But we're working really closely with the governor, and she has a very big goal, housing goals for the state. So we need to, over the next 20 years, plan for 120,000 new housing units in Portland.
It's an inventory problem, and
Absolutely.
that takes time,
yes.
as well as making that housing affordable,
Yes.
and that's some of what's happening in the state legislature right now, which we talked about a couple
Yes.
episodes ago.
Well.
Yes. And then you also oversee, or you're the liaison to Prosper Portland, and Prosper Portland oversees a lot of the economic development of the city, right?
Yes.
Business.
And business, activations, ways to create frameworks so that we have like inclusive prosperity goals across the city.
Yeah.
They're doing some really, really cool stuff, and especially as we're coming out of the pandemic and heading in, in that economic recovery period, it really matters right now, especially for downtown.
For sure. I have been able to work with Prosper a little bit and meet with them because business is my area of art. And so I'm really excited about making Portland better for business.
Absolutely.
And then I want to mention Bureau of Planning and Sustainability, which does a really wide range of things, including they oversee PSEF, or the Portland Clean Energy Community Benefits Fund. And I am a consultant for them as well. Don't get me fired after this. But I have been lucky to work with them over the last couple of years and help them stay on schedule and everything. And I know that's a huge thing in the news right now.
Yes.
We won't go into it because people can read about it everywhere. But I guess the only thing I want to say there is, how do you see helping them kind of stay on track and on mission? Because their mission is, and I just want to say, actually, editorialize and say, you helped lead the change to change their code, their charter last year, and that made it really helpful to move dollars faster out into the community and get more creative with how we can solve these problems. But how do you see yourself as a steward of their mission to create clean energy solutions, but also to put priority populations first, like people of color and people who are low income?
Well, absolutely, that is front and center and should always be. Nothing about that ever should change. But it is true that we are in a climate emergency, and it is also true that we have unexpected funds. So this is a fairly new fund. So we're still building systems as we go. And so this is a good opportunity for the PSEF committee and the staff to work together to create systems about when things come in, the revenue comes in above and beyond what we projected. We'll have a system in place for how to manage and prioritize those extra funds. So I take this as something that we're going to really learn from and that we're going to figure out, so that if it happens again, we have something in place.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I want to tell you, I've worked with a lot of bureaus in the city and worked with county, metro, state, and PSEF is the most hardworking, fast-working, and functional team that we have worked with. And so I would also say protect that at all costs. Like they have a great culture and passion, and they're not jaded, it's great.
Yeah, Sam Barrasso and his team are amazing. And Sam brings such a commitment to the work and to the mission, and his values are super strong and aligned. Been just very impressed with him and everyone that he leads. So
he's an absolute gem.
He's a gem.
Maybe one of the smartest people I've ever met.
Yes, he's pretty smart. Pretty funny too.
Yes, when he wants to be, but he stays on task.
That's right.
So let's talk about downtown, because here we are downtown. Your office is downtown. And of course, I am a downtown person. I'm a city girl. Like Portland's almost too small for me, but I love the magic of coming downtown. And I grew up in Beaverton, so it was always a big deal to come see a show or go to even a coffee shop downtown, or when Pioneer Place opened, it was the biggest deal. So what do you think is the key to making downtown that vibrant hub again?
I think it's people, and it's Portlanders, and it's people living just outside of Portland too, encouraging folks to come back downtown. We are open for business. I grew up in Hillsborough, so I had the same exact experience that you did, and it was such a big special treat to come into downtown, and the shops were different, they were unique, and just walking around, people watching and enjoying the food and the sights. And so we have that here, that's still here. It's just an important time for us to make sure that we do everything we can to support the small businesses that are here. What can we do to activate the city more so that we're bringing in folks that used to come in downtown again too? There's more foot traffic, there are things to see. Are they family friendly? Are there things in the evening? So we're coming back, and then it is picking up, and especially with things like the Winter Woodsy Village that we had just recently. That was such a hit, you know, and I think it exceeded all our expectations in terms of bringing in the foot traffic and families, and just the excitement and the vibe was just so good. And the Winter Lights Festival too that we just had, it felt it felt like old times. You know, it felt like that energy of being out at night, walking around downtown. It was just so fun, and then bumping into people you know, and so things like that are happening will continue to happen. And there's more happening. I mean, we have the Shamrock Run later this month. Then we have the Blues Festival in the summer, and all these other fun summer things coming up as well. So there's lots to look forward to.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I think, to me, the keys to downtown are, you know, people have to feel safe coming down here. So that's a big part of it. But also, you know, I heard someone say they went to a conference of cities, and they said that it all starts with nightlife. Getting that going, because, you know, it always starts with the artists coming downtown.
Yeah, that would be great. That would be fantastic. I know that when I was younger and I lived in Hillsborough, we would come in, you know, for nightlife and to see other people and meet other people. But yeah, I agree with that. And permitting might have a piece of that, but really I think where the big opportunity is that, you know, now that, you know, hybrid work has forever changed how people work, right, in downtown cores, and it's changing how full our buildings are, how, you know, how much foot traffic we have or don't. It's just changing, and so we have to recalibrate how we're thinking about our downtown core. And so we need to think about housing. I mean, we need accessible housing for young professionals to come live in downtown, for folks to live, you know, in places that maybe were buildings converted into, you know, apartments or studios. That would be very cool. I foresee, if we are successful and find a path where we can transition some of these buildings, that in 10 years we'll have a very vibrant, very different kind of city that has incredible nightlife, incredible restaurants and activities. So I look forward to that time.
Yeah, you know, when I was looking to buy my first home, I would have loved to live downtown, but there's just not a lot of inventory. There's not a lot of housing. Like if you go over to the Pearl District or to Northwest, it's like you have to go all the way over to Slabtown, but I like that downtown feeling.
Sure.
Yeah. So more housing downtown would be, of all levels, would be awesome.
Yeah, that would be great. And we did pass some ordinances at council that would make it easier to transition buildings, office buildings, into, you know, to convert them into livable spaces. But, you know, there are some costs associated with that, and we want to figure out, we're putting on our thinking caps and trying to figure out a way that we can partner with the state or other jurisdictions to bring in revenues so that we can more easily and cost effectively convert those buildings.
I can't wait to see it.
Yes,
well, obviously I'm going to stay tuned. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
When we come back, we're going to keep Ms. Rubio here for the tea, because I want to know more about her background, her motivations, and what she does as a normal Portlander person. So when we come back, tea with Commissioner Carmen Rubio. It's tea time, and we are still here with Commissioner Carmen Rubio, although I get to call you Carmen for this segment because we're just like girlfriends having tea.
I love it.
Yes. So let's get to know each other because we've
Okay.
never had a one-on-one
Yeah.
before. So you grew up in Hillsborough?
I did. I grew up in
Glencoe or
Hillsborough.
Hill High?
Glencoe.
Glencoe, okay, all right. I was,
Glencoe. Go Tides.
yes, Westview.
Oh,
Just
okay.
right around the corner.
Yeah.
Yes, and so West Side, I love the West Side.
Yeah.
And then did you go to college? Did you stay in the area?
I did.
or-
I went to University of Oregon.
Okay.
Go Ducks. And then after graduating from college, moved to Portland.
Okay, and did you go straight into the public sector or what
I
was your
did.
journey, your career journey?
So I went, my very first job out of college was actually working for Milagro Theater. And
Really?
yes,
Oh
I
my
was,
goodness.
they called me a marketing associate, but
Yeah.
that really means everything.
Yeah, I know.
Like answer phones, clean the bathroom, do the box office, but I loved it.
Yes.
And then I also was a food server on the side. So
Oh
I
my
had
goodness.
that job and I had 2 jobs. And then I would go salsa dancing at night.
Salsa dancing.
Yes, I know, it was
Okay,
amazing.
this is my dream. Because, like, full disclosure, she's running for mayor, but this is my dream. Dance party for a victory party.
Oh,
What if
I
it was
love
salsa,
it.
live
Oh my
music in the park?
gosh, that would be
Just-
so fun.
Yes,
Okay, love it.
Let's do it.
Love it.
Flashback. Okay, so I was a theater marketing person too in my 20s. Yeah,
where?
but of
Where did
course,
you-
well, I was in New York. I was an
Okay.
actor and then got to the business side of
Okay.
it. And so I went into marketing and did like
Oh,
PR for theater
wow.
companies and
Okay,
stuff. Yeah,
small
and
world.
serving. I love this idea that like everyone should do service.
Agreed. I
Yeah,
do. I agree.
It makes you a better human being
Totally.
to have done it.
And
yeah.
you know so much instantaneously
Yeah.
about people, about how they treat servers.
Yes.
You know, that's never gone away.
Yeah.
And I use that to this day.
So how did you start moving toward public sector?
So after working there, I worked for Metropolitan Group, which is a communications firm
Yeah.
here, based in Portland, but I think it's national. And following that, well, actually, while I was there was a Latina who was running for county commissioner.
Okay.
And she was really young. She was like 30, and
Wow.
I was in my 20s, and I was super excited because I had never heard of another Latina or Latino running for anything in Portland.
Yeah.
So I started volunteering on her campaign, and that was Serena Cruz, Serena Cruz, and she ended up winning, and then she hired me, and so I worked for her, and that just one thing led to another, and eventually I worked for several electeds and worked on several campaigns, and then from there. After a brief stint in Seattle for grad school and living there for a little while, came back and eventually was working on the community side. And I worked for Latino Network for 12 years.
Wow.
And following my job at Nick Fish's office. And
Okay, can I just say everyone who came through Nick Fish's office is like fierce.
oh,
Like it was
that's
really
awesome.
good training, I
Yeah.
think.
Oh yes.
Like fierce
He was
in the
great.
best way. Like get
Yeah.
stuff done, results.
Yes,
Like it
yes.
was like the MBA.
He was great,
Right.
and he was such like a statesman, you know, and that's the only word I can use to really find to express like he operated with a lot of dignity and respect, and really respected civil service and civic life, and I learned a lot from him about leadership, and so I wish every day he was here so that I could ask him, advice or get more mentorship from him. But I think about him a lot, especially in these challenging times that we're in.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about your decision to run for commissioner.
Sure. So after being at the organization, Latino Network, for 12 years, I started there when it was very small, and the budget was about $500,000.
Wow.
And over time, grew it to be the largest Latinx serving organization in the state of Oregon.
Wow.
And so by the time I left, we were about $18 million in operating budget. And so I loved the work. We were doing education, we were doing advocacy, support services, housing services, leadership stuff. I loved that job so much, but it also the tail end of my being there happened when President Trump was in office.
Oh yeah, that
And
president.
it was a freaking nightmare, you
Yeah.
know? I mean, it was terrible for our community
Yeah.
because, you know, the threat of, ICE and raids and targeting. And,
Yeah.
and as you know, when those, in the white nationalism and
Right.
all as that stuff was happening, it was becoming harder and harder for communities of color and vulnerable communities that were being targeted by folks, racist folks, and so it was very challenging having to navigate racist attacks that were happening on our community together with the political attacks and the aggressive ICE, raids and deportations. So we had to deal with the impact of that and the fear in the community quite a bit, and deal with immigration, detentions, all that stuff, attorneys. It was a very hard time. So during that time, I was just feeling angry, and we felt, we're doing everything we can, yet we still couldn't do enough. And so it just made me feel like I needed to do something more and harder. And, I had privilege that other people didn't. I could vote, and a lot of the folks that we served could not vote, and they're living in fear. Right. So I felt like called to do something harder or more challenging in representing people who didn't have the ability to be vocal sometimes and had to live in the shadows. So that was really the turning point for me when I felt I needed to step in to do something harder to challenge myself. Yeah. And that came together with a conversation with Nick Fish, who was my mentor. And he called me up and told me, you really need to think about running for city council. And I said, well, I don't think so. I don't think I'm ready for that. And I asked him about this other job that I was looking at, and he's like, no, you have to think about this. Just think about it, because, this is a time to do it if you're going to do it. He called me later, a few months later, and said, okay, Commissioner Fritz is going to announce later that she is not going to seek re-election. Are you ready to run for office?
Now's the time. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, he was like, Carmen?
Yes.
You need to do this. This is your time. It's time to do this now if you're going to do it. And I'll be with you, and I support you every step of the way. And so I did. And it was, he saw in me things that I wasn't quite sure that I had in me enough to do for myself. So I really credit him for helping me see that in myself. And so that's what happened. Unfortunately, he passed right before, right before I was able to serve with him. So, but he's the reason I'm there.
He has quite a legacy,
Yes.
and I think a beautiful legacy. You're part of that, and other leaders that I've worked with are part of that legacy too. Yeah. I happen to be listening to Barack Obama's memoir, A Promised Land, on audio right now, which I find very calming, because it's like, oh yeah, the president who knew what was happening and was like self-effacing in a healthy way and all that. And he's just going through that decision. It talks through his decisions to run for each level. Yes. And how much goes into just deciding, and the just the pressure and the monotony almost of saying the same things every day. Yeah. And I think about how much support you need to not go crazy in that. Yes. And so who supports you in the background? Who are your other cheerleaders?
Yeah, I have really amazing girlfriends, guy friend. I have just amazing people friends, and I have a really strong family. We're super close, and most of them do not track anything at all about my job. Good. So it feels real, and it feels like I can go and reground myself with folks who know me in here. You know, because I have to sometimes turn off the noise about. And not believing everything I hear about myself, externally. Yes. That's a really, really hard part of the job. Yeah.
Don't read the comments.
Yes, exactly. Don't read the comments.
I think that's got to be the hardest thing, because I have friends who've run for office, and I think about our governors who have been women and everything, and the trolling online is just, it's stupid. Oh yeah. But it still gets under people's skin sometimes.
It does. It still hurts. I mean, it's not even online. Some you boldly write to me letters at my office
Yeah.
and say some pretty hurtful things.
Yeah.
So I've heard it all about myself, but the mission and the call to do the work means more to me than the momentary discomfort I feel when it was a process building that resiliency.
Yes.
And definitely, if people are looking for recognition or accolades, do not run for local government.
Okay, thanks for letting me
Yes.
know.
Yeah, if you want to do stuff,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
But that has to be, because that's what gets you through all the hard times, all the noise, or all the criticism. And criticism, I think, is good and important to hear. But you have to really rely on your values, because sometimes if there'll be 10 people you respect and they might be saying completely different things about this one issue. So ultimately, it comes back to yourself, and
Right.
you have to make the best, you use your judgment and make the best guess, or not even guess, but just assessment.
Yeah.
After talking to all these people, knowing that you're not going to please everyone, and you might have people you really respect upset with your choice. And that's just part of this job. Yeah,
It's hard if
it's
you're
really
used to
hard.
like making people like you as the way you get by, which
yeah.
is like a pandemic in Portland, first of all. It's like people trying to be nice, right?
Yes.
It's like to be effective,
Yes.
you need to worry more about being respected and
right.
consistent,
That's right.
right? And telling the truth.
Yeah.
And sometimes people don't want to hear it.
That's right.
Yeah. So with all this energy you're expending to not only do what you do, but stay resilient, what restores you? What do you do to take care of yourself?
Oh gosh. So this is something that not many people know about me, but I'm a gamer. I love playing video games.
What's your favorite right now?
Right now, I'm playing this really great game called Forspoken.
Okay.
And it's a female protagonist, which I love. I just love those open world games,
Yeah.
that have multiple missions and a long, like very complex storyline. I love those things. So I'm playing that. I'm about to play Final Fantasy
Okay.
Rebirth. And another favorite of mine is Horizon Zero Dawn and Horizon Forbidden West. Sorry, I know, I'm a nerd.
But I'm imagining a huge activation in like Pioneer Square with like a whole gaming like competition.
Oh, that would be
Wouldn't
amazing.
Cool?
That would be
That's
super
gonna bring
cool.
people
Yeah.
downtown.
Yes,
So we're wrapping it
yeah,
up.
I'm here for it.
So when we are laying on the beach 25 years from now and reflecting on your career of service, what do you want your legacy to have been?
I want my legacy to be around housing, and also making sure that everybody has a place to call home, and everyone along the continuum, from those that are unhoused all the way to young people, just getting started, to working families who are living on the margin. Everyone deserves to find a place that they can live and stay safe, and have their family and their friends and live their best life.
And on a more personal level, how do you want to inspire the leaders coming up behind you?
I would say truly follow your values, and trust yourself and your instincts, and don't lead just to please other people. Like you had mentioned before, it truly is about making hard decisions and thinking in terms of what's the best thing to do for Portland, what's the best thing to do for yourself. And so having the courage actually to make hard decisions, I would say, is just stick with it, because in the end, you're the person you look in the mirror at every day, and yeah, integrity is important.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, it's been so nice to get to know you. Thanks for keeping it real with
Yeah.
us. And tea time. Cheers.
Yes, cheers.
All right.
Love being here.
When we are back, your top 3 parties coming up in Portland this week. It's party time. Here are my favorite events coming up this week that you have to get out, go be part of everything that's happening in Portland. So tomorrow is the end of the Lunar New Year Festival at Lansu Chinese Garden. A lot of Portlanders have never even been to Lansu. It is amazing. And I think the membership is the best deal in town. So go become a member, and today or tomorrow, get over there for that celebration. If you need something a little more intense, Monster Jam is happening at the Moda Center. Monster trucks. I mean, come on. And if you're feeling a little more refined, the Expo Center is having the Portland Seafood and Wine Festival, excuse me. So that's a way you can celebrate and have a lot of fun this weekend. If you're inspired to give back after hearing from Commissioner Rubio, you can also volunteer. I was reminded of how much I got out of volunteering when I first moved to Portland, becoming part of the community. So go to Hands on Portland, and you can browse all the volunteer opportunities in Portland if you want to try something once or become an ongoing part of an organization. And with that, remember, to change the game, you got to know how the game is played, and we learned some cheat codes today. So we will see you next week on Portland Tea Party.